Good evening, campers, it's me, Kieran. Today we are going to talk about A Spell of Good Things by Ayobami Adebayo. Most people will know Adebayo from her debut novel, Stay With Me, a book that I have not read but have heard so many accoladed and lauded things about that book. And because of the love people have for that book, I imagine there was a lot of anticipation for the follow-up novel, of which this is. However, I shouldn't have gone on a stag do last night. I sound like I smoke 40 fags a day. A Spell of Good Things is an apt title. One, because of how bleak this book is, but also I have very little positive to say. Set somewhere in contemporary Nigeria, we follow two characters. Dr. Wuraola, who is to be betrothed to Kenle, and Eniola, a schoolboy whose father has just lost his teaching job. The narratives of these two characters are going to intertwine, but I'm going to be honest, the majority of this novel is waiting for that moment. It feels as though Adebayo is YouTubing how to start off a magic loop before she can begin to knit. There's a lot of waiting around that has to be done, but like good waiting, two buses will come at once, and towards the end of this novel, when they do finally meet, it feels very rushed. But that's not to say that the discussion surrounding where the characters started the story to how they end isn't of interest. Just say that it loses its tension. There's a lot of slip stitches along the way, and rather than counting the rounds in the gun, you're counting the rounds, being like, have I got 140 in this blanket? Because the pattern says 124. And no, I'm not currently bringing in my own knitted experience into this, but there is no way that you can fit within that inch 8 stitches. I'm really sorry to say that. There's no way. I chose my needles accordingly. My gauge is fine. I did the swatch. There's no way that many stitches can fit in that inch. I've digressed. Adebayo's novel is about power. Not who has power or who maintains power, but what happens when power is relinquished. Be that losing a political race, be that losing a position of authority, be that handing over authority to someone, submitting power, or losing power completely because you've simply lost control of the situation. With the marriage of Wuraola, there also comes the question of the power of tradition, because we see Wuraola wanting to maintain tradition. Wuraola listens attentively to her mother Yiye about why tradition is important and the significance of not only generational status and wealth but intergenerational status and wealth. However, the voice that is not listened to, and when it is spoken it is diminished quickly over dinner, is Motara, the younger rebellious sister, who sees these traditions as not being upkeeping within the modern world. While Wuraola has a high status job as a doctor, she is burdened by the pressures of the job, the nature of the job, and has to submit all her power when she crosses the threshold to meet Kenle, where the stark beginnings of domestic abuse begin and then foster into a recurring pattern for Wuraola. That's Wuraola's narrative, and not even the introduction of her ex does anything to alleviate how this story stagnates. Eniola's story, on the other hand, is a lot more engaging and enticing. Eniola and his sister attend a private school, but because his father, a teacher, has lost his job, there's no more money left. The family that was once comfortable realizes that they are on a quick and slippery slope into poverty. They're asking family and friends for favors, they begin begging on the street, resorting to going through trash to find tuppence for food. Tough decisions have to be made for the family, and it's not helping that Eniola's father has gone into depression. He is just staying in his room looking at the wall. Eniola, who is doing everything and anything for his family, sees his father as just a lazy schmuck. With a turn of events, and again, it's a very convenient circumstance that he finds himself in before decides to take action with his own hands. But Eniola's going to understand that inaction speaks louder than words. Now, I do want to stress something here. While Wuraola and Eniola are indeed the main protagonists, there's a lot of talk here from the secondary characters about their experiences and their background that don't really feed into the story. Adebayo uses the secondary characters to almost forge the issues that are then enacted upon the characters. Again, this is a bleak book, but there is so much chatter, there's so much chin wagging, but nothing is as melancholic getting 250 pages into a book going, so when do these characters meet? Like, please don't tell me it is going to be that really tenuous link that joins. Oh, it is. Wow, okay then. How this novel lines up all the issues prevalent within contemporary Nigeria and shows the connections between them is not something to scoff at. However, the way this book tackles those issues is something of a red card. For me, A Spell of Good Things is a 4 out of 10.